Hey everybody, Dave here, and I just finished up filming a playthrough for Luxor using the Mummies Curse expansion, and just wanted to give you a quick impression, and we're going to go down to the table and talk a little bit more in depth. But Luxor is one of my favorite games. When it came out last year, absolutely loved it, had to have it. Was fortunate enough to trade to get the deluxe edition with all the fancy wooden pieces, and I have played this game a bunch, and I have recommended it to a number of people who have also acquired it. So it has been one that I have absolutely loved, and I really enjoy the new things that the Mummies Curse expansion adds to it, and the fact that there are modules, we can pick and choose different things that are in there. Definitely takes the game and adds it up to a next notch. So let's go ahead and flip the camera around, and we're going to go down to the table and we'll talk about things a little bit more in depth. Okay, so let's get down to the table and we're going to talk about each of these modules one by one. So the first thing is that we have a purple player for the fifth component, and I will say this, I have not had a chance to play this with 5 players yet. But I do know that playing with 4, it's highly competitive, and I'm looking forward to playing this with 5 players. There are 18 additional Horus cards that come with the 5th player component thing, so we have plenty more of those to go around. So, and they just get added to the game, so that's probably why we didn't see us really go through all of those things or even empty them out. The next module number 1, is the mummy, and I think that this is kind of a cool thing. And I would say that, with 2 players, and we didn't really get a lot of the Horus cards, we didn't see it moving quite a bit, but I would say that at higher player counts, you're going to see more of those Horus cards in play. You're going to see the mummy moving a lot more and causing a lot more chaos. But as you saw, when the mummy moves over spaces that your opponent is occupying, they get laid down, and you collect talismans for them. And but you can, if the mummy passes you, if you're the active player, as long as he passes through your space, you're not affected by it. So I think that that's pretty cool. But I would really say that in a multiplayer game, the mummy itself is going to have more of a factor, or if you're using a lot more of the Horus cards. But the other side of the mummy expansion is these Mummies Tiles, and I think that these are really cool. And they give you some additional benefits, and just picking and choosing what you're going to need. Like I said, we went through a lot of them in our game here, over probably half the stack. We use these to take advantage of those benefits, and it really adds, to the gameplay. Being able to move additional players, being able to get additional bonus points. The one that the one player was able to use to discard a 1-point scarab to get something at higher value, that was worth it, for them to be able to do it. So those are really cool. So that's the first module is the mummy. It adds that particular element. There's a little bit of kind of, if you're manipulating things and you're looking at playing your cards, you can sort of give a little bit of take that to knock some of your opponents out of the game, at least temporarily, where they have to spend a turn to try to be able to get them back in play. And the only way that they're going to be able to not necessarily waste a turn is by rolling a 5 or a 6. So then the next module is the equipment, and that's with these equipment cards that you're starting off with. And there are 7 of them in the game, and so you're going to shuffle them up, and you're going to choose 5 of them. And we've got some really neat things that are in here. You've got one that's going to allow players to move 6 spaces. That's really huge. There's one that's a 0 movement, where they don't move, and they'll be able to perform the action of the tile that they're on. That's really good if it's on scarabs. And then you have you have the ones with the die rolls that have, you know, you're going to be able to roll a die and you can add value, a plus or minus one if you want to. That's really, really helpful. And then also these the cards where you can choose to play more than one card. So you can play 3 plus another one if you want to. And you can, if you decided to try to play multiple ones of these cards, you could if you wanted to, like a 3 plus, a 2 plus card. You would not be able to play a third card. You just treat that as a 2. So, you know, you do have, it's just a neat way for you to be able to enhance movement and playing more cards with these equipment cards. It's going to allow you to move your adventurers further, faster. Now, the third module are the artifact treasure tiles, which were these right here. And I like how this enhances the game, because when you're playing Luxor, in just the base game, when these spaces are emptying out, you end up moving over them. And later on in the game, especially in a multiplayer game, a lot of these spaces, the artifact tiles get sucked up. And so later on in the game, when you're unlocking adventurers, you know, pretty far into the game, there's not much for them to be able to take. Well, this adds, you know, okay, you take off this one, then you flip up the next one. Oh, there's another one that can be taken. So it actually adds, it makes it a little more worthwhile for some of the adventurers later in the game to be able to acquire some treasure tiles that way. And the neat thing is that you score points immediately for them, but the only way you can actually get bonus points by adding these onto a complete set for 3 additional points. So it's going to make you want to try to collect more sets if you have a number of these, to try to maximize the points for them. So it's just a neat way that it just adds another treasure type, and really, like I said, it makes it more beneficial for those adventurers that come into the game later in the game. And then the fourth module is these characters, and there's 8 of these, and these are really, really useful. And I think this is the neat thing, is the asymmetrical aspect to the game, that these become useful because it's sort of going to change a little bit of how you approach things, or you just know you have a really cool thing that's going to happen. So in this particular one here, he was able to use his benefit essentially 3 times. So whenever a new adventurer came in, he could rearrange, he could take one card and move it to another position in his hand if he'd like. Whereas this player over here, it would be more beneficial for this player to use the Horus spaces to acquire keys than it would be to take the cards, because he can start discarding these keys to affect movement. And I think that's really, really what makes this particular module shine. And so overall, I think that all of these things together make Luxor an even better game. I loved Luxor before, and I love it even more. And so this is really, really cool. So something you're definitely going to want to check out. So, all right, if you like this stuff, please like and subscribe to the video and to the channel. It'd be appreciated. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.